Much like with autism and sexuality and pretty much everything that involves our personalities and identities, gender is a spectrum. Before I go any further, just want to put my foot down. There are more than two genders. There are more than two sexes as well, but I'm not getting into that here. Uh, let's just say that humans are complex. We are piles of meat piloted by gray electrified jello. The fact that we can identify as anything is a miracle. Um, Now I want to make a shirt that says that, but I think jello would sue. Maybe I should think of a word instead of electrified jello. Ideas. Okay,
Electrified gelatin.
electrified gelatin. Oh my gosh. Okay, merch ideas. Uh, um, yeah, with the email thing, well, Thanos, don't worry. If somebody sent me an inappropriate email, I would just ignore it. So anyways, so yeah, with all that out of the way, in the 1990s, when more and more people were seeking help when it came to their gender identity. Um, and there was an interesting pattern that researchers noticed. A lot of these people were either autistic or showed signs of being autistic. And after more and more research was done, it was found that 3 to 6 times more people who were trans or gender nonconforming, also known as gender diverse, were autistic as opposed to cisgender people. It would appear that the percentage is higher when it comes to people assigned female at birth, like me. Some experts estimate that 6 to 25.5% of gender diverse people are autistic. So, like, up to over a quarter. I know that 6% to 25.5% is a wide range, but that's why more research needs to be done. There are a few hypotheses as to why this is. The one that I brought up in my comic is that people are just less, autistic people are just less influenced by social norms, societal norms, and social norms. And as such, gender diverse autistics are less likely to hide in the closet. Yeah, Shimmer, I was in the same boat as you for a little bit. I was like, I don't know what gender I am, but I know I'm not cis. But yeah, I like your way of looking at it. Try not to worry about it too much. You don't need to. But yeah, it seems autistics we're more open and honest with who we truly are, whether cisgender or not. So it makes sense that we'd be less willing to hide our gender identity simply because it went against societal norms. There are several other hypotheses of linking autism to be gender diverse, but the evidence that they try to use often are all over the place, and usually hard to put together. One theory that has been, criticized and challenged is the idea that autism is caused by an increased exposure of testosterone in the womb, and that causes AFAB autistics to be more masculine. It's called the extreme male brain hypothesis. It was first proposed by psychologist Simon Baron-Cohen. And yes, he is related to Sacha Baron Cohen. They're cousins. But there have been follow-up studies by other researchers. who have been unable to recreate the original findings. It also wouldn't explain the existence of AMAB, gender diverse autistics. So, you know, I'm dubious. Um, Another hypothesis that is that that it's part of being neurodiverse. That with our brains being wired differently than neurotypicals, uh, that may be what causes us to have higher chance of being gender diverse. The problem with that is that it makes gender dysphoria sound like a comorbidity of autism, which I don't. Yeah, it's don't think it is. Yeah, Mel. Boo, Simon Baron Cohen. I've seen that sentiment a lot. And when researching this topic, he came up a lot, and I'm like, okay, so now I know why people say boo, Simon Baron Cohen. Saying that gender dysphoria is a comorbidity of autism makes it sound like it's, you know, or being gender diverse, I should say, is a comorbidity of autism, because you don't need gender dysphoria to be gender diverse. Saying it's a comorbidity of autism makes it sound like, I don't know, to me it makes it sound like some kind of disorder instead of just a gender identity. As expected, this theory has no hard evidence. There are other really weird hypotheses, like, autistic boys are more likely to be bullied by other boys, so they'll hate boys and want to be a girl, which makes absolutely no sense. Another is that since autistics have a harder time picking up social cues, we'll miss picking up social cues for our assigned gender, and that can cause gender dysphoria. And all I can say is gender dysphoria doesn't work that way. um, Common co-occurrence instead of comorbidity. Yeah, Mel, that's a better wording. Thank you. Um, but yeah, this is why more research needs to be done. People throw out these hypotheses that have no bearing on reality, like they're throwing cooked spaghetti on the wall to see what sticks. The difficulty of being both autistic and gender diverse is that neither of these are very well understood yet. It's hard enough being either autistic or gender diverse, but to be both just adds a whole new layer of complicated. Not to mention that have like gender diverse the like gender diverse autistics who want to medically transition, meaning that they want to be on hormones and or get gender confirming surgery, which if you don't want that, and it doesn't mean you're not gender diverse, you're still valid. But they have been denied this because of the stigma against autism. Is autistics are either seen as not having the mental capacity to understand what they're asking for, or are told that their autism needs to be cured first, which, rage. Being either autistic or gender diverse gets people enough harassment and stress. So when you put the two together, it's a terrible combination of ableism and transphobia. Now, one thing I would like to discuss, since we're talking about autism and gender, is Autie-gender. Now, before anyone yells at me, let me explain. Because Neurodivergent Rebel was recently talking about Autie-gender, and they got a lot of flack for it. So just hear me out. I just want to explain it. Autie-gender isn't autism as a gender. It's when your autism greatly affects your gender and how you experience, perceive, and understand it. It can be a gender in and of itself, or it can be combined with another gender to show that one's autism impacts their gender. Being autistic and gender diverse doesn't automatically make you Audi-gender. I'm not, at least I'm pretty sure I'm not. I don't feel like my gender is greatly influenced by my autism. Maybe how I present outwardly with my appearance, because makeup and certain type of clothes feel uncomfortable on my skin, but not gender itself.